In this series, we join archaeologists, divers, historians, and conservators as they work on one of the most intriguing shipwrecks of all time, while facing one of the toughest challenges of their careers, recovering all that remains of Blackbeard's Queen Anne's Revenge.
Blackbeard took off with anything that he valued.
To succeed, they'll have to battle the site's dynamic and dangerous marine environment.
You end up bashing into things.
Ever-changing weather conditions, and a fast-ticking clock.
It's Mother Nature that's going to have her way.
It's a high-stakes balancing act to ensure the crew's safety and recover the ship's priceless artifacts in one piece.
Safety of everybody involved is paramount.
Blackbeard and the Queen Anne's Revenge, a 7-part educational web series. Wild tales of pirate adventure on the high seas and exotic places like the Caribbean have captivated children and adults alike. And none more than stories of the legendary privateer and pirate, Blackbeard. What many don't know is that in 1718, just off the coast of Beaufort, North Carolina, with a bounty on his head, Blackbeard lost his prized flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenge. Once she slipped beneath the waves, much of this pirate story remained buried until now. It's barely 6 a.m., but the crew of the North Carolina Underwater Archaeology Branch at the Department of Cultural Resources has been hard at work loading a maze of dredge hoses, dive gear, underwater communication devices, and other tools of the archaeology trade onto the deck.
If the sea lays down with this wind blowing offshore, I think we'll get it done today.
It's really just battling the weather and the currents.
I'm ready to get out there and start working.
Let's go do it. We need to dig up some canyons.
The adventure begins with expeditions to the wreck site to recover cannon and other artifacts from this notorious pirate vessel.
Queen Anne's Revenge was Blackbeard's flagship. It had been a French privateer during Queen Anne's War. When the war was over, privateering became illegal. The owner of the ship, René Montedouin, out of Nantes, France, had to find another occupation or function for the vessel. He chose the slave trade, and so she began slaving in 1713, did a second voyage to the West African coast in 1715, and then Blackbeard captured her on her third voyage in 1717 on her way to Martinique in the Caribbean, and turned her into his flagship, renamed her Queen Anne's Revenge. After he captured Concord, turned her into his flagship, his primary base of operations or operational area was the Caribbean, and then began to make his way up into the northern ports, Philadelphia, Boston, New York. And so they began to operate off the shipping lanes out here off of North Carolina, and eventually blockaded the port of Charleston around May, late spring of 1718, and then came up here to Old Topsail Inlet, currently known as Beaufort Inlet, in early June of 1718, where he ran the ship aground.
Southwest Railroad to South Mooring right here.
Okay, here we go.
We had a very difficult time getting on moor. The wind is picking up. It's out of a quarter that's not very favorable to the work that we want to do. Hopefully we can get half a day in. We're going to try and sling the other 2 guns so we can still make the 4-gun recovery. And there's a large sheet of lead that we would like to try and bring up today. Everything will be contingent on the weather and the safety of the divers on the bottom, and we'll make that call as we watch how the wind and sea state changes.
This work is done at times in near zero visibility and with heavy surge and shifting currents, which make an already tough task nearly impossible at times.
I think it's going to be like a Martian sandstorm down there because of these swells. This is shallow water, and as they roll through here, it'll push you 6 foot this way and 6 foot that way, and as you go over your project, you can work.
So far right now, we got a little bit of a slow start just because of the surge and getting the boat position. Nathan and Danny set up the first excavation dredge, and Laurel and Julep are in there now. They reported that we've already got the one cannon probably 2/3 exposed again, which is a good start.
The weather is deteriorating. It's coming out of the east, northeast. It's starting to white cap a little bit. So rather than uncover another cannon, we're going to wrap it up on the bottom, and they're going to secure everything. We'll pull the hoses up and get the divers in and wrap it up on deck.